many investors are interested in what your plans are for 2021, considering you've been, I guess, relatively quiet compared to others in the sector. Is there a reason for that?
There was a period of quiet that was triggered by the bought deal with Eight Capital because we had to issue a short form prospectus, and once that document had been created, we couldn't actually have any news or be involved in any material negotiations without having to reissue the prospectus. So that created a bit of a pause. But once that deal closed and then we announced that we'd received the $11.5 million, we very quickly after that moved forward with our purchase of a manufacturing facility that was announced. So, and we're now engaged in other discussions, and we'll have more news coming. Nothing that I can share right now.
Okay, but investors should be kind of glued to the second quarter in terms of expansion, growth, interesting things that are going to be kind of coming up as you guys continue to make more noise.
That's right. Everything aligned with the business plan that we've already articulated, and activities that will either accelerate or amplify that plan.
Okay. And let's talk a little bit about identity. I mean, is there any confusion ever around like where your business focuses actually lie? Are you leaning more towards a pharmaceutical business or a nutraceutical business? We're kind of straddling both worlds.
Yeah, so we are being a bit schizophrenic and straddling two of them. I can say that tongue firmly in cheek, but we very much see the opportunity to leverage the pharmaceutical business and the psychedelic business to have a stronger brand in the nutraceutical space. So we're going to take the thought leadership and the science from the psychedelics and use that to help educate consumers and to develop proprietary formulas for the nutraceutical side.
Okay. So then I want to talk about this first clinical trial execution agreement. That was with, what are they, HealthTech Connects. I was checking out their website. So lots of stuff around brain health, concussion, brain injury, brain fog, dementia, PTSD. So you're going to have access to a lot of their neuroscientific expertise. What was their reason for, or like the benefit of them working with you?
So they have their device, which I think is called the NeuroCatch device, which actually measures brain activity while you're undergoing treatment. And for them, it was important to have a supply of naturally derived compounds because otherwise they're stuck with just working with synthetics. So across the various clinical trials that they'll be conducting, both for themselves and for their clients, they needed that supply. And synthetic psilocybin, while it offers, the isolate and the singular molecule, doesn't offer the entourage effect that you get from a naturally derived product. Much like synthetic THC didn't find much of an audience because it lacks the other compounds that are in there. So mushrooms are just as complicated with lots of other compounds that do have an effect and change the experience for the user. Much like, if you think about wine, red wine and red wine is not red wine. Is it Cabernet Sauvignon? Is it from France? Is it from, and it gets down to what side of the hill were the grapes growing on.
Right. Yeah.
So naturally derived compounds are very sensitive to the genetics as well as the growing conditions, and mushrooms aren't any different.
Okay. Sorry. So can you just wrap it up succinctly? Like what will you be targeting with this partnership?
We will be supplying them with both isolate and broad spectrum products from specific genetics to support the clinical trials that they will be conducting.
Okay, cool. And I think you had mentioned this in a recent webcast, but you had 7 SKUs coming out. Is that correct? Can you clarify that?
Yeah, so that's on the nutraceutical side.
Okay.
We have 7 SKUs that we're launching that are focused on human performance and cognitive health. And they're things like turkey tail and lion's mane and rhodiola, and they're all in capsule form and will be available at retail in April in the Vancouver area, and then we'll expand that footprint as quickly as possible.
And what did you mention? Inflammation. You felt that inflammation was an area that was kind of overlooked and was something that you were going to be going in the direction of. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we're doing a preclinical trial partnership with a research facility associated with the University of New England, focused on inflammation and immunity. The majority of the work with psilocybin has been done on the central nervous system and on brain function, but not on immunity or inflammation. And so we wanted to, when the researchers came to us with this proposal, we were interested because it's not a crowded space, and we want to see if there is some promise there, and if there is, then we'll continue to chase that down.
Okay. Was it Kelsey Ramsden of MindCure said something really interesting recently? Data moves science, stories move culture. When I say mental health, what comes to mind for you?
Well, mental health, I think about, frankly, for me now, I think about hope. I think of the hope that this industry offers for people. Mental health is a massive issue globally. We have a very high percentage of the population that is experiencing some degree of mental health issues. It's come out of the shadows. People can talk openly about it. I've had my own personal experience that I've shared in the past with my family and dealing with my 5 sons, but it's the hope that psilocybin and other compounds can offer to people to not just get through the day. And because right now the majority of pharmaceutical solutions numb you to the point where you can get through the day, and that isn't a way to live. What psilocybin promises is the ability to get back to normal, so you can wake up in the morning looking forward to the day, so you can enjoy a relationship with a significant other, so you can go on vacation and have a good time. To just be numb to get through the day leads to suicide too many times. So we're in the industry of hope, and that gives me a lot of enthusiasm and energy to throw myself into this job to do the things that we do.
Right, and you're no stranger to personal transformation and reclamation of self. So would you then consider hope the opposite of despair? Like, are we a culture that's entrenched in despair right now? It's crazy how effective psychedelics are. The research is almost mind-blowing. It's like, how did this take so long?
Yeah, well, regrettably, we got psilocybin and some other things got caught up in the war on drugs, despite the fact that there's very low toxicity, that it's not an addictive product. It still got caught up in that, and it is sad that work that was done, some of it decades ago, has just lying there and not been acted on. So we've is hope the opposite of despair? I'm not sure. Opposites are really hard to define. I mean, some people think that hate is the opposite of love. The opposite of love is actually indifference.
Apathy, yeah.
So I think that hope is the opposite of giving up. I think that's what it is.
Is there anything that you could kind of say? I know you can't get into specifics, but that could give investors hope. Speaking of hope, in the direction that Havn Life is looking to go?
Sure. We've got 2 clear paths to revenue and timelines to get there. So on the natural health product side, we'll be in revenue in the second quarter of this year. That sets us apart from other players in the space. On the pharmaceutical side, we'll be in revenue by the end of this year by having our facility to provide compounds to clinical researchers. And even though the number of transactions or the number of doses is small, they're very expensive doses. Because synthetic psilocybin is so expensive, even a relatively small number of doses will translate to a material amount of revenue for us before the end of 2021.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. And my last question, because you're here and I got to get it in, but how important do you think it is for CEOs, founders, presidents of these psychedelic companies to have actually used psychedelics themselves?
I don't know that it's absolutely critical. I think it's important for people in my role at these companies to have the appropriate empathy for the industry and for people with mental health issues, whether that's a personal, your own mental health or mental health of someone close to you. I think is really important. I don't know I think I've said this before, would I get cancer treatment from a doctor who hasn't had cancer? I don't know that you need to have had that experience with your own body in order to be effective in the role. So, my experience has been dealing with mental health issues with my family, and that gives me the appropriate empathy for the industry and for people that are dealing with this on a day-to-day basis. I haven't personally had a psychedelic experience.
Not even a microdose?
Not even a microdose.
Whew.
So,
Tim, you're missing out.
Yeah, I know that, and that could change. Next time you interview me, that might be different. It's just things.
I think it's going to be a prerequisite. I don't even think I'm going to speak with you until you've done it.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, deal.
Yes, thank you very much.
Wonderful. Well, on that note, thank you so much for meeting with me. Please keep in touch online, through email, however you please, and good luck out there.
Thanks very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.